Hello friends, in this video we will learn properties of Laplace transform. Let us begin. Properties of Laplace transform are not different than that you have learned in Fourier transform. That is time shifting property, time scaling property, time reversal property or frequency shifting property along with the convolution property and so on. Let's begin with the very first property, that is a time shifting property. For example, let's say we have signal as x of t whose Laplace transform is x of s. In that case, suppose a time shifting takes place. We know that there are two types of time shifting. We know that is a time delay as well as time advance. For example, if we have x of t minus t naught, so this is a delay example I am taking. In that case, a Laplace transform is f of s, or in this case we supposed to say x of s only. So it is x of s multiplied by e to the power minus s t naught, as well as for x of t plus t naught we can have Laplace transform as x of s multiplied by e to the power, this time it would be positive s t naught. Now let me remind you for a Fourier transform. If you remember, if x of t's Fourier transform is x of omega, in that case x of t minus t naught used to have Fourier transform as x of omega multiplied by e to the power minus j omega t naught. So here if you see carefully, s is just replaced by j omega, as well as in this case, as you can see, it is x of omega multiplied by e to the power positive j omega t naught. So in case if Fourier transforms properties are known to you, then it is very easy to recollect properties of Laplace transform. Let's move to the next property. Next we have a time scaling property. For example, if you have signal in time domain as x of t, after transforming in frequency domain using tool, that is Laplace transform, you get x of s. In that case, suppose you scale your time by alpha, that is x of alpha t, then it will have Laplace transform as 1 upon mod of alpha x of s upon alpha. And if you see, it is quite a same property that you have learned in Fourier transform. Let me remind you of Fourier transform property. So x of t is a time domain signal. So Fourier transform for x of t, it was x of omega, and for x of alpha t we used to have Fourier transform as 1 upon mod of alpha x of omega by alpha. Next we will see a time reversal property. For example, you have signal x of t whose Laplace transform is x of s. In that case, x of minus t, that is what we called as time reversal, will have Laplace transform as simply x of minus s. And let me remind you, a Fourier transform for x of minus t was x of minus omega, provided for x of t it is x of omega. Now we'll see the another important property called as a frequency shifting property. So you should understand that when they say a frequency shift, it means it is imaginary part of s. That is, we know that s is a complex number which is given as sigma plus j omega, out of which sigma is a real part and omega is imaginary part. Like omega is a frequency, so we say that a frequency is nothing but imaginary part of s. So when I'm trying to tell you a frequency shift, I'm not going to shift by s, but I'm going to shift by j omega. That is what I'm actually talking about. Let's say, for example, if you have in general signal as f of t, or we can take x of t also, it doesn't matter. You can take g of t, x of t. Notations are not that important. What is important to understand the property? So let's say you have some function of time f of t whose Laplace transform is f of s. In that case, here f of s minus j omega naught. As you can see, there is a frequency shift taking place in frequency domain. Then there would be a phasor addition in time domain, that is f of t would be multiplied with e to the power j omega naught t. So even you can study in this way. Suppose you have in time domain f of t multiplied by e to the power j omega naught t. In frequency domain, the frequency shift takes place by amount j omega naught. Similarly, if we have f of t multiplied by, this time let's say phasor is e to the power minus j omega naught t, in that case it is f of s plus j omega naught. So please remember, in frequency shift we follow opposite sign. That is, if here the exponent is positive, we have negative sign in frequency domain, as well as whenever we have negative sign of exponent, then we have positive sign in frequency domain. So you need to remember this. Now for some reason, I believe this is, let's say, equation 1 and this is equation 2. Let us add 1 and 2. Now once you add 1 and 2, what is going to happen? On left hand side, if you see f of t, I can take common. What remains inside is e to the power j omega naught t plus e to the power minus j omega naught t will have its Laplace transform as f of s minus j omega plus f of s plus j omega. Here omega value is omega naught. So I would say f of s minus j omega naught plus f of s plus j omega naught. So this is addition of 1 and 2. Now if you see carefully, it is e to the power j theta plus e to the power minus j theta form. You know that e to the power j theta plus e to the power minus j theta is equal to twice of cos of theta. So I can use that formula and I can rewrite this property as, so here I can write f of t. You know, the value of e to the power j theta plus e to the power minus j theta is twice of cos of theta. So it is twice of cos of theta. So I'll shift constant 2 to right hand side and I'll get final property as cos of omega naught t will have its Laplace transform as 1 by 2. It is f of s minus j omega naught plus f of s plus j omega naught. So I'm sure you understood this property. Please understand, e to the power j theta plus e to the power minus j theta is twice of cos of theta and the theta value is omega naught t. The same 2 I have shifted to right hand side and therefore you got this as final property. So this is a new property that whenever f of t, that is any function which is with respect to time, is multiplied with cos signal, then this is a Laplace transform. So of course after addition of 1 and 2, when I'm getting cos function, after subtracting 2 from 1, I'll get sine function. Like, so here I have done addition of 1 and 2. Now I'll perform subtraction between 1 and 2. Now in this case, what is going to happen? Similarly, on left hand side, I'll take f of t common. What remains inside is e to the power j omega naught t minus e to the power minus j omega naught t, and on right hand side the Laplace transform is x of s minus j omega naught minus x of s plus j omega naught. I hope the point is clear. So we know that e to the power j theta minus e to the power minus j theta is 2j sine of theta, where theta is omega naught t. Of course, I'll take this 2j as constant and I'll shift it to right hand side, and finally we have a property like this, that is whenever f of t is multiplied with a sinusoidal signal, that is sine of omega naught t in time domain, what happens in frequency domain after having a Laplace transform as 1 upon 2j. In the bracket I can write x of s minus j omega naught minus x of s plus j omega naught. So I hope you got this property. And f of t multiplied with cos omega naught t, we have already learned that Laplace transform is half of x of s minus j omega naught t plus x of s plus j omega naught. So now we have to find a Laplace transform for cos omega naught t dot u of t. Please understand, this is not a w, treat this as omega only. We know the property, whenever f of t multiplied with cos of omega naught t its Fourier transform is half of f of s minus j omega naught plus f of s plus j omega naught. Is that right? So here, in place of f of t, what we have is u of t. So we know that u of t has not Fourier transform but a Laplace transform. So we need to correct over here. So Laplace transform of u of t is 1 by s. In that case, if now u of t is multiplied with cos omega naught t, because this is the question, right? So now you are multiplying u of t, which is function of time, with cos signal, then what is going to happen? We are just about to follow the formula. So now when u of t is multiplied with cos signal, in that case a Laplace transform would be 1 by 2 multiplied by, now it is f of s minus j omega naught. So if you know what is f of s, here in this case this is your f of s, am I right? And this is your f of t. So how to get f of s minus j omega naught? It is very simple. If you have f of s, then just replace s with s minus j omega naught. I hope it is clear. So following that formula, now what I'll get over here is 1 upon s should be replaced with s minus j omega naught plus, now f of s plus j omega naught means replace s with s plus j omega naught in place of s. So it is 1 upon s plus j omega naught. Further I can write it is 1 by 2. So I can just cross multiply over here. So it would be s plus j omega naught plus s minus j omega naught, and in the denominator when I multiply these two, it would be s square plus omega naught square. Please remember how this has come. You know that a plus b into a minus b is a square minus b square, but if it is a plus jb into a minus jb, it is a square plus b square. Likewise, as you can see, it is in the form of a minus jb into a plus jb, so it is a square plus b square. So denominator becomes s square plus omega naught square. In numerator, this imaginary term gets cancelled, so s plus s will become twice of s, which will get cancelled with the denominator too. And effectively what we have over here is s upon s square plus omega naught square, and this is a Laplace transform of cos omega naught t dot u of t. So Laplace transform for cos omega naught t dot u of t is s upon s square plus omega naught square. Similarly, you can get Fourier transform for f of t dot sin omega naught t. We have already done a Laplace transform for this. So here, instead of f of t, what we have is u of t. So now sin omega naught t dot u of t will give you Laplace transform as 1 upon 2j in the bracket x of s minus j omega naught is nothing but 1 upon s minus j omega naught minus 1 upon s plus j omega naught, and after solving this you'll get Laplace transform as omega naught upon s square plus omega naught square. So this is a Laplace transform for a sinusoidal function, and for cos omega naught t dot u of t, the Laplace transform is s upon s square plus omega naught square. You have to remember these two important formulas. Now we shall see the another important property called as multiply by t property. We'll see what happens when you multiply by t. As we have studied in Fourier transform, whenever in any domain, irrespective whether it is time domain or frequency domain, let's say if you are taking time domain and you are multiplying function f of t with time, that is you are multiplying a function with the independent variable, then in other domain what happens is differentiation. Similarly, so whenever you multiply x of t or f of t with t, then in frequency domain what happens is differentiation, and vice versa. Whenever you multiply independent variable omega with f of omega, then what happens in time domain is differentiation. So let's see, if I say x of t having Laplace transform as x of s, then t times x of t Laplace transform would be minus j d by ds of x of s. In fact, minus j will not come here. So I'll tell you, when minus j comes, the minus j comes only when you have a Fourier transform. So it is simply minus of d by ds of x of s. So let me remind you just a Fourier transform formula. A Fourier transform for t dot x of t was minus j d by d omega of x of omega. So I'll tell you in general what happens is, let's say if you have t raised to n, so here it was t raised to 1, now it is, in general I can write t raised to n multiplied by x of t will have its Laplace transform as minus 1 raised to n d nth derivative with respect to s of x of s. Therefore, here let's say n value equal to 2, meaning that you are not this time multiplying by t, you are multiplying by t square dot x of t. Then its Laplace transform is minus 1 square, and it is a second derivative of x of s. And of course we know that minus 1 square is nothing but 1. So it is simply d square by ds square of x of s. I'm sure you understood this property. So what you have to remember is this generalized property. Now read the question. Get Laplace transform for ramp signal. So we know that ramp signal is designated by r of t, and in fact r of t is nothing but t dot u of t. Am I right? We know that how to express a ramp signal in terms of unit step. So r of t is equal to t dot u of t. So here I'll treat u of t as f of t, and I'll use multiply by t property to f of t. So you must be knowing what is Laplace transform for u of t. So Laplace transform for u of t is nothing but 1 by s. In that case, t dot u of t will have Laplace transform as, you know that it is minus 1 raised to n, where n value is equal to 1, d by ds of x of s, and here x of s or f of s is nothing but 1 by s, and this is simply equal to 1 upon s square. So derivative of 1 by s is minus 1 upon s square, and this negative negative gets cancelled, then it would be 1 upon s square. Finally, I can write r of t, that is nothing but a ramp signal. A ramp signal can be expressed as t dot u of t will have its Laplace transform as 1 upon s square. Is that right? Let's say I'm multiplying my u of t with t square this time. Is that right? In that case, it will be minus 1 square d square by ds square of 1 upon s, and after solving this you'll get 2 upon s cube. This is equal to 2 upon s cube. So it is t square dot u of t will have its Laplace transform as 2 upon s cube. So you know what? We know that t times u of t is a ramp signal. I hope you remember how ramp signal looks like. This is what we called as a ramp signal, that is r of t with respect to time. Whereas t square dot u of t is nothing but a parabolic signal. So I'll give you the another method. In mathematics, you must have learned this formula that whenever there is t raised to n, its Laplace transform as n factorial upon s raised to n plus 1. But to be very precise, I would say t raised to n u of t, its Laplace transform would be n factorial upon s raised to n plus 1. We know that in mathematics, whatever Laplace transform that you learn, it is nothing but a unilateral Laplace transform. But what we learn in engineering is a bilateral Laplace transform. That is, we integrate it from minus infinity to infinity. In unilateral Laplace transform, we integrate it from 0 to infinity. So it is understood that in normal mathematics, whenever you learn the Laplace transform, it is a unilateral Laplace transform. Therefore, every function is by default multiplied with u of t. Therefore, in mathematics, what formula that you have learned for t raised to n, it is applicable for t raised to n dot u of t in our engineering. So you have to remember this formula and just follow the formula and you can get the answers for ramp as well as parabolic function. Let's see how. So for ramp function, that is r of t, which is nothing but t dot u of t. Now look at the formula. We'll follow the formula. Here the value of n is equal to 1. So according to formula, it is 1 factorial upon s raised to 1 plus 1, which is equal to obviously 1 upon s square. And I'm sure you would be quite comfortable with this method instead of using multiply by t property. As well as for parabolic function, it is t square dot u of t. This time, as you can see, the value of n is equal to 2, so it is 2 factorial upon s raised to 2 plus 1, which is obviously equal to 2 upon s cube. So in fact, you can use this formula if you are comfortable with this. Ramp function and parabolic functions are even important in control system where you require a frequency domain analysis for ramp function as well as parabolic function. So there also you will study that whenever you have a ramp function in Laplace, we take it as 1 upon s square, and whenever you have a parabolic function, that is t square dot u of t, in frequency domain it is written as 2 upon s cube. Let's move to the next property. So now it is a division by t property. So for example, you have f of t whose Laplace is f of s. In that case, if f of t is, let's say, divided by t, and therefore it is called as division by t property, in that case a Laplace transform is simply integration from s to infinity f of s ds. Let me tell you, this property is not that important, but the only thing that you should know all the properties of Laplace transformation, so we have taken this property. Now this is important property called as a differentiation property. That is, for example, if you have f of t, that is time domain function, its Laplace transform is naturally f of s. In that case, d by dt of f of t will have its Laplace transform as s dot f of s. In case if you have d square by dt square f of t, then its Laplace transform is simply s square f of s. So I'm sure you understand that you have to see the order of derivative. If order of derivative is 1, then it is s raised to 1. If the order of derivative is 2, then it is s square times f of s. But let me tell you, this is applicable only when you assume that initial conditions are 0. I repeat, this Laplace transformation formulas are applicable only and only if the initial conditions are equal to 0. So these are written under assumption initial conditions are 0. So what if initial conditions are not 0? What if initial conditions are present? Then these formulas are modified like this. In that case, d by dt of f of t will have its Laplace transform as s times f of s minus f of 0. Please note, this f of 0 is written in small letter, indicates it is actually your f of t calculated at t equal to 0. So this is the meaning of f of 0. Please don't treat this f of 0 as capital F of 0, because there is a difference between small f and capital F. Small f belongs to function which is in time domain. Capital F belongs to a function which is in frequency domain. And of course, this is a frequency domain f. Suppose it is d square by dt square, let's say f of t. So it is a double derivative of f of t. Then it will result into Laplace transform like this. it will start with s square f of s minus s times small f of 0 minus f dash of 0. Let us understand the meaning of this. So again, this small f of 0 means f of t calculated at t equal to 0. When they say f dash or f dash of t, it is nothing but a derivative of f of t. So this is nothing but d by dt of f of t, and after taking derivative, t is substituted as 0. So that's the meaning of f dash of 0. So f dash of 0 means d by dt of f of t, where t is substituted as 0 after having a derivative. So here, the terms that I'm highlighting, that is f of 0 as well as f dash of 0, are called as initial conditions. So when the question is given to you, and whenever the time comes that you have to use a differentiation property, you have to make sure that whether the initial conditions are present or not. Either you have to identify initial conditions, or sometimes they indirectly tell you that there are no initial conditions. So we will solve some problems based on this. So there you will understand how to identify them, but you have to keep your eyes open and you have to see carefully where initial conditions are present or not. If they are not present, then you can use above two formulas, and if initial conditions are given, then you have to use the lower two formulas. Let's go to the next concept. So next property is a convolution property. It is not again different from the property that you have seen in Fourier transform. Let's say you have f of t function, its Laplace transform is f of s, and you have another function, let's say g of t, whose Laplace transform is g of s. We know that convolution in one domain leads to multiplication in another domain. Same thing, f of t, let's say convolve with g of t. We shouldn't get confused why it is f of t convolved with g of t. Can't we have g of t convolved with f of t? Let me tell you, it is one and the same thing. So f of t convolved with g of t. So convolution in time domain leads to multiplication in frequency domain. So it would be simply f of s multiplied by g of s. So if you remember, when I taught convolution, I told you generally we don't solve the problems by using the convolution in time domain because it is quite a time consuming and a complex operation. Better we use two tools, that is either Fourier transform or Laplace transform, whichever applicable or suitable, and instead of following a long procedure of convolution, we take Fourier transform or Laplace transform and we simply multiply, and then by taking inverse Laplace or inverse Fourier transform, we get the final answer. And let me tell you, it is quite easy to have a frequency domain approach when it comes to convolution. The last property that we have is integration property. So let's see what is integration property. Let's say you have f of t, whose Laplace transform is f of s. In that case, now since it is integration property, it is integration in time domain, and we know for integration in time domain we use a system called as integrator system, and by default we integrate from minus infinity to t. It would be f of tau d tau. Then it will have a Laplace transform simply as f of s divided by s. If you remember, divide by t property, so in time domain, if we divide by t, then in frequency domain, what happens is integration. And similarly, the same thing happened now in integration property. As you can see, in Laplace domain, we are dividing by s. So what happens in time domain is integration. So I can make you understand this integration property by showing you one concept. See carefully. You know what? Whenever I write this expression, that is integrating over minus infinity to t f of tau d tau, what does that mean? It is nothing but taking integration of f of t. I hope you are agree with this. This is integration of f of t. In convolution, we have learned the concept, that is whenever a function of time, that is f of t, is let's say convolved with u of t, then it is nothing but taking integration of f of t. So this is equivalent to actually f of t convolved with u of t. I hope thing is clear. This concept we have learned in convolution. That is, whenever any function of time, when convolved with u of t, it is as good as taking integration of f of t. And for taking integration of f of t, this is the standard integrator expression we write. So tell me, let's say if I take a Laplace transform of this, you know what? Instead of taking Laplace transform of this, we know that this is equivalent to f of t convolved with u of t. I'll take Laplace transform of f of t convolved with u of t. So of course f of t Laplace transform would be f of s. Convolution in time domain results in multiplication in frequency domain. What is the Laplace for u of t? It is 1 upon s. Effectively, it is f of s divided by s. The same thing that you see over here, that is a Laplace transform. So I'm sure now you have understood the insight of this integration property. And of course, you have understood all the properties. If you are comfortable with the properties, then only you will be comfortable to see and to solve the problems based on Laplace transformation in the next video. Thank you.